Hey, cowpokes.
It is Western Wednesday once again, and today we are here to review Flick 'em Up. This is a dexterity game. So before we get into the details about that, though, you want to mosey on down to the subscribe button right there and hit that, give that a holler, so that you can follow on.
I don't know if hollering at it will do
probably
any
not.
good.
More like click it.
Yeah, I think I'll help out a lot.
Yeah.
Hey! Yeah, it's not gonna
You
be
can
anything.
holler, subscribe! All right, so tell us about the game.
All right, so Flick 'em Up. Now, this is the 2015 unique. I don't know how unique it is, but it's a special edition.
Well, it was the Gen Con release of it. I don't know if there's.
I think it's a little bit nicer than the standard version, which they're up to 3rd edition. So I don't know how much this version costs or how much it would have cost then. But the current 3rd edition is $49.99 MSRP, but Card House, cool stuff. I think they got it at $39.99. Plays 2 to 10, so it's a pretty good sized party game. Obligatory apologies for mispronouncing these names. I think these are French, but I'm not for sure. But designed by Gaetan Beaugenot, Jean-Yves Montpertuis, art by Marie-Hélène Berube, Philippe Guerin, and Chris Williams, published by Pretzel Games.
Yeah, and we know it's Pretzel Games because the turn priority counter is a pretzel.
Yep.
Yes. So
there you go.
All right. So as far as quality of pieces, most of this is wood, which is really cool. There's cardboard too, because like the buildings are all cardboard except for the stands for them.
But they look cool, though.
But yeah, they look cool. You got bales of hay, which are blocks, which is kind of odd, but they sit in place and it works well. You got little cacti.
You got your cowboys.
Yep, you got your cowboys.
You got your good
They
guys.
look weird until you put a hat on them. But they
got your character tokens.
Yeah.
So your different outlaws and heroes.
Yeah, and each of
help
them
tokens
has like a little base of operations that they set on, and then as they die, they get a little tombstone to replace them, which is really cool. We got little barrels. You have
more obstacles.
You have a wooden token that's your kind of your movement token that you flick to get to move.
Is that what they call it? Flick 'em up?
Probably.
Okay.
But more importantly, the bullets that you flick.
They don't look like real bullets.
No, they don't. No. But they miss targets much like they would if I was shooting real bullets. I mean, as far as quality components, it's really high quality. Yeah. I'm very impressed with all the cardboard is even really thick, but the wood.
So the cardboard is good, but the art on the cardboard is fantastic.
Really nice. Well, that's more.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying though. I mean, as far as the quality, it just looks good.
Yeah. So as far as components, I mean, apart from there's no paint, like there's no screen printing or anything on the pieces. I gotta give it a 9. I mean, it's
at least, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. At least a 9 because it just looks great. It's got awesome table presence. People are, if they never saw this game and you're playing it, they're going to stop to figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah,
because it just looks cool.
I would agree. 9 sounds about right.
All right. So talking about theme, I mean, when we talk about westerns, this one feels like a Old West shootout.
Yeah, just totally the shootout part.
I mean, we had Bang that was focused on a shootout. This feels way more like a shootout than Bang. I mean,
because it's just so much more interactive.
Yeah, I mean, you are targeting. You're actually hitting things. You're putting yourselves into position. You can actually go into the buildings and shoot out from the buildings. It's really got a lot of cool mechanisms in it, and it is purely about trying to take out your opponents. Now there is some upgrades you can do with equipment, which is we only played the first scenario, but I know it's part of the game is you can upgrade your equipment for your different players, which is kind of cool. But thematically, it gives you a feel of the Old West, the legacy that you see in the movies. It's probably not really what happened in the Old West as much as it's portrayed. But.
And then just so you know, we are using the Dwellings of Eldervale mat. So obviously, you are to get this unless you have the same mat. It will look different for you.
Yeah, I mean,
but it is a good idea to put some kind of mat underneath it, just because it did help keep the pieces on the table. I think that if we didn't have that, it would have been way worse than rolling
Yeah.
off. And
Yeah.
flying
And
off.
we have a gray carpet and gray bullets don't
Yeah.
mix.
So
So-
it's a good idea to do that.
Yeah, but yeah, I unfortunately didn't have a desert or
I was-
western.
I was a little
play
disappointed
that.
in you that you didn't have that.
I
I was
Yeah.
definitely.
So, I mean,
Now that we've actually played this, I might have to get one.
Yeah, you totally will.
'Cause, Because playing in the ocean didn't quite feel right. It's Waterworld Western Wednesday. So thematically, I'm going to give this, I think, a 9 as well. I mean, I love the feel and the look of the art on, as you mentioned, on the buildings. I really like the feel of this game.
I do too. I think a 9's a good score for thematics.
I think I'm going to go just a little bit lower than 8.5.
Okay.
I just feel like, there were a few things that I don't remember ever seeing cactus in the middle of the street.
Well, that's
So-
scenario based. I mean, it's basically they want obstacles.
Were
to
you
be
in the
there.
Old West back
Well,
in the
yeah.
1800s?
I
You
was
don't know.
not, but I
Exactly.
would imagine that if you're going to have
You're-
horses and
you're-
carriages
you're-
coming through the town,
You're assuming, Kevin.
Yeah,
You
you're
don't
right.
know.
I am
You're
assuming. Fair enough.
All right. So, rulebook. How was it?
The rules are actually really simple to this game. So the rule book has an assembly area for how to build your
All the pieces.
town pieces, and then it goes into the rules are actually only
Yeah.
4 pages
There's
long.
literally
Then
nothing
there's
to
a
the
different
game.
translation, so it's really 4 pages because it's such a basic game. But it was effective. It took me one thing. It did take me because I watched a playthrough first, so I
Right.
already knew the basics of the rules. And the playthrough was like not a playthrough, but it was a rule explanation,
Right.
and it lasted like 5 minutes. It was like a super short video, but I got all the concepts, but I couldn't find like where things transitioned. And one of the things I was trying to find look at was like how the first player transitioned. If you was
If you
before
shoot the-
if you shoot the player who's first player, or if you shoot them and kill them, and that's what I was trying to find. It took me a while to find that
Right.
because it's not clearly pulled out. I did find it ultimately, but so everything's in here that you need.
But you don't need a cheat sheet.
Yeah, you really don't, because I mean, there's only 3 basic actions you can take in the game. So we'll go over in the gameplay in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's a very straightforward rule book. And then that comes with the second book, which is your scenario
Which
book.
looks pretty lengthy.
Yeah, this one is 24 pages long. And this is really, I mean, you can set this up however you want, but this basically is just setting up, it's
So it makes
Two-
it
2 sets of 24 pages. That's why it looks thick, because
because
it's in
of
2
the
languages.
2 languages. But I
Um,
mean, just helps with the theme because then
Yeah.
each scenario will be different.
So you have different plot lines and stories that you can follow with this, and you can set it up however you want it, really. But this gives you 24 different ways to play, which
And there
is
are
pretty
expansions to this as well.
Yes.
So
cool. And I think I have one. I don't think I have all of
the
them.
Red
So
Stallion Canyon or whatever.
yeah, I think that's the one I've got. So I'm gonna have to track down the rest of them because I did enjoy this game, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something I want to get out and play because it does. It's kind of brings back the childhood memories
Right.
of playing with your action figures,
Or like with Pogs or something like that.
yeah.
But I think Sarah would dig it because I think she would really get
Yeah,
into it.
although we'll be losing pieces left
Yeah,
and right.
but-
Sarah.
But I still think that this would be a good family style interactive game.
Yeah.
So I think kids would like it a lot just
Yeah.
because it's fun.
Well, I mean, we got Alex to actually play.
Oh yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
that
that's
says
right
a lot
there.
right there.
Yeah, to get him to actually play a game, so it's pretty cool. As far as the rules, I'm going to go ahead and give them an 8. I think
Okay.
they did their job, did them well. It wasn't anything outstanding.
I didn't fall asleep during them, so
Well, it's because they were so short. You didn't have
that's
time.
not the point. So,
Okay. So gameplay. So as we mentioned, it's a very basic game. There's 3 different actions you can take on a turn. You can decide to move, which that's where the movement disc comes in. You would replace the figure you wanted to move, and then you're going to flick one finger. You cannot use a thumb to
so
wedge
you
it.
can't do that.
So you have to use one finger to flick. I have to too hard. If you do not
'Cause it's
collide
been
with
working out,
anything,
so.
if you don't collide with anything in your flick, then you get to move and stop wherever it is stopped and position your character whichever way you want to face them. If you do like I did and flick it too hard and it collides with something, then it negates the move. So you have to start over from where you are, and you only get 2 actions per turn, so that eats up one of your actions. The second action you can do, you can shoot. So that's where these little ones come in. So I can target, I will use a different one because that guy's in my way. I'll use this guy. So if I were playing with this character and I targeted, I could shoot one of the opposing teams. So the black are the outlaws, the white are the law force. So I would shoot and try to hit one of those guys.
And the goal is to knock them
If
down.
you knock them down, they take a wound. So I successfully took a wound on that guy. And if you get 3 wounds, at least in the default scenario, then you die. In the scenario we were playing, the goal was to kill 3 of the
and you
opposing
have
team.
5 members of your team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
kill 3, then your game's over.
So if I were to hit both of those characters, however, the second one that goes down does not take a wound. There's no ricochet wounds. So the first guy would take the wound, the second guy wouldn't.
Right.
Similarly, if I had shot and hit the cactus and then hit a guy, the cactus would take the hit. If it fell, it wouldn't count hitting the guy. You can't.
But the cactus does stay down,
The
whereas
cactus does
if
stay
you
down.
hit them with the movement disc, you got to put the cactus back up.
Yeah. So so basically you're going to be doing those 2 moves in the base game. Now, in addition to the later scenarios, we add in the buildings, and you can move into a building by hitting the movement disc. And if it goes up into the area between the doorway, you're now successfully inside the building, and you would put your character on there. And from that point forward, you can shoot from inside the building out. No one from the outside can shoot in. There's also little objects you can pick up potentially in the building, which will enhance your abilities. Each character has a basic pistol, a health meter, and 2 holding positions for additional equipment. So those equipment will change the rules in the scenario of the game you're playing. So if you go to a location that has an object, you can pick the object up as an action, or you can put an object down or trade an object. If you are inside the building and you're shooting out, you have to put the disc that you're shooting from behind the building and flick, so it makes it tougher to shoot out.
Right.
But you're protected from anyone outside.
Unless
An opposing team member comes into the
which
building
is so
with you.
cool.
And if that happens, it triggers a duel, which then takes a secondary side table or a side area of your table. We're playing on the giant pool table, so we had plenty of space if that should happen. And you would have a high noon style shootout.
So 1 on each end, and
Yeah, so there you can still move and shoot just the same, but if you shoot and miss, then you move up. So it's like you get closer to the point where somebody actually does hit.
Right.
So and if you do get hit, you have to get ejected from the building. So they take your movement and flick it from here and kick you out of the building. So I thought that was really cool.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's a really neat game as far as
Again,
all
it just
the
adds
mechanics
to
of
that
it.
flavor and the theme of the game.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on this one because I don't really like dexterity games that much. But this one I really enjoyed. I think the theme of it, and we were playing some Western music, classic, that really helped with the mood. I just wish the playmat would have been more thematic. But yeah,
But that's not the game's fault.
no, but it was a lot of fun. Just the whole targeting and shooting each other. We were making jokes along the way, quoting movies and
Right.
all kinds of fun.
So, I mean, as far as dexterity games, I agree. Because the only other one we really played that I liked was High School. But this is definitely better than High School. But
Yeah.
hands down.
yeah, I
Just
think
because of the thematics and it's just
there's more to it.
Yeah, and it's a lot more fun. And like you said, there's a lot more to it. It'll expand and get a little bit more complicated and just more fun.
Yeah, despite how much I was hitting the other characters, I have a hard
He's
time.
a sniper, so
Yeah.
be careful.
Yeah, I brought in the ringer on my
Yeah,
team.
we didn't know, so he came in like a ninja or something. So.
Yeah, but it being a dexterity game, it is a little hard on my hands. I have a little problems with my hands, but so that's the only negative. That's the main negative I would say is just being a dexterity game. But I mean, it was a fun dexterity game.
Mhm.
The other thing is having to sometimes reach.
Yeah.
There's
There's
they say
awkward
dexterity, but it's also
awkward
agility.
positioning, so
Yeah.
it could definitely
Agility.
get hard.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's a blessing to have a table this big,
Mhm.
but it can also be a hindrance.
Yeah,
having a
because
table this
especially
big.
since we played in the
Yeah.
center of it, which
So-
means two sides, it's really tough to reach on those sides.
Yeah.
You really would want a table that's more positioned where you can get any angle on it. So,
right.
playing this might have been better on the octagon
I
table
think so, too.
upstairs,
Right.
except for the size of it. Just I need a giant
I think
octagonal
you just
table.
have to get another table.
Yeah.
Just for flicking up.
Flick 'em up. Yeah. So, I don't see that happening. I don't have
Probably
space
not.
for one. But, okay, we'll think on that. But as far as this game, I mean, eventually, because we're going to get one of the inbuilt late game tables,
Yeah.
and that would work perfect.
I think
When
so.
the things
A lot
would,
better.
yeah, it would
You
be
wouldn't
You
need
could
a
awesome.
reach
separate
over.
map.
You could reach over buildings a
Yeah,
little easier.
yeah, this would work really well with a built-in game table with the inlay.
Yeah.
So as far as gameplay on this, I don't know, I'm kind of at a 9 on this one too. I just feel like it's kind of 9s across the board for me on this one. I really did enjoy it.
Thematically is where the game shines. Gameplay wise, it's pretty simple. It's pretty light. I don't know if it's a 9. I think it's more of an 8 for me. I really enjoyed it, but it's just not a whole lot to it. So
Yeah.
I don't know how often I would want to play it. I think every once in a while, but
Yeah, you definitely, it's a game you're going to want to be in the mood for. It's
Right.
not something
Right.
it's not a thinky game.
right? And it's not. That's not where I'm knocking it down a point. It's just I think it's just that fact that I wouldn't want to get it out that often. And so, whereas a gameplay with a little bit of higher score, I'd want to play it more often. So I think that's why I can give it an 8.
Well, I mean, there is, to be fair, it does require a big table.
It does.
It does require, I mean, you can do it in a smaller setting, but, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I don't. I think that to spread it out is where the game will be fun. If it's a smaller table, I think it'd be too easy, or just it wouldn't have the same feel for
And
it.
the other thing is there is setup time involved. It's
putting everything
putting
together.
everything and making sure it's located
Where it's
reasonably
supposed to.
where
Yeah.
it's supposed to be for
That
this
part didn't
area.
bother me because I wasn't involved.
But it
So-
wasn't huge. I mean,
Yeah.
the pieces are pretty basic, so it's not like it took forever.
Right.
But
But I think I'll give it an 8. Kevin, what do you got?
I'm actually going to agree with you, Rob.
Okay.
I'm going to say an 8, just because it's for certain people it's going to be a little harder on their digits, and so it becomes a little. It's a fun game, but there's wear and tear.
Yeah.
And that's another good question. Is like I wonder if you do put some heavy playtime into it, how long will the components last?
Right.
yeah, I mean, there
I mean,
would.
I mean, as far as the cardboard,
Yeah,
especially. I just wonder, can it take a beating?
Well, the
Yeah.
cardboard isn't really going to take a beating because the cardboard is elevated. So
We
I
kind of
think
hit
the
it a couple
hats,
times.
the hats though might take some beating.
The hats
because
are
you
gonna
gotta
get
flip
worn out,
those.
too.
You got to flip those after you use the character. That's one
Yeah.
thing that wasn't stated is you got to take the brim off and put them upside down, which is a cool mechanic because
Yeah.
then you know what's been used.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's probably going to take the most beating
Right.
in this game.
yeah,
But
I
I
agree.
think, but for me anyway, I think 8's a good number. It's a good score. I don't want to take that away. Just
I agree.
So, all right,
All
awesome.
right, well, that's our impression of Flick 'em Up. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you can check this out. If you do, I recommend highly trying to find the wood version.
Yes,
As
for sure.
opposed to I think it was a cardboard that they re-released,
Right.
which would take a beating and would wear out a lot faster. But I think it's much better in the wood version.
Well, at least the wood box version is much
Yeah.
prettier too. So very,
Yeah.
very cool looking. So,
Yep.
all right. Well,
All right, till
All right.
next time.
bye.